2.2 million average viewers
tuned in to watch Caitlin Clark and the Fever take on the Liberty.
Peaking at 3.2 million viewers is crazy for the WNBA, even for the Fever.
Became the 6th most watched WNBA regular season or playoff game.
2 minutes ago, the numbers came in, and they don't lie. Caitlin Clark just shattered yet another TV ratings record.
It is the highest peak of any game. It is the second highest viewership. Caitlin Clark has picked up an injury after breaking records with both her games on like proper national TV. That would be absolutely ideal. If Caitlin shows up, there's going to be records.
And the WNBA can't hide the truth anymore. While league insiders scramble to downplay her impact, the receipts are public. Caitlin's games are breaking viewership records left and right.
It's more statistical proof, data, to confirm exactly what we've been saying, that Caitlin Clark is driving this whole ship.
And when she's out, the entire league collapses like a house of cards.
Impact of the absence of Caitlin Clark. Well, once I found out Caitlin wasn't playing, it didn't make sense for us to fly to Indianapolis. Of course not. We are Caitlin fans before Fever fans.
Empty seats, plummeting ticket sales, national embarrassment.
Clark is such an overwhelming draw that ticket prices have fallen more than 300% in less than 2 days.
So why is the WNBA still letting this woman get shoved around, disrespected, and even targeted? All while she carries the league on her back? If you're riding with Caitlin Clark, drop a CC22 in the comments right now. And let's expose the truth they don't want you to hear.
She's the biggest draw.
It is undeniable that Caitlin Clark is the engine.
Caitlin Clark effect. There has been so much of an influx in attendance, in jersey sales, and viewership, all the things.
That's about star power, narrative, and likability.
Caitlin Clark comes into the WNBA, goes through college. She has panache. She has style.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
Why do you like Caitlin?
She's so good at basketball.
Let's get into the numbers that the WNBA wishes you'd ignore. Just days ago, Caitlin Clark's matchup against the New York Liberty drew an average of 2.22 million viewers on CBS, peaking at a jaw-dropping 3.24 million.
WNBA game between the Fever and the Liberty, peaking at 3.2 million viewers. And again, second most viewed game on CBS. This is a crazy situation.
That's not just good, it's historic. It's the second highest viewership ever for a WNBA game on CBS and the 6th highest regular or playoff game audience since 2001. Think about that for a second. Clark, in her rookie season, is rewriting television history.
Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP. She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
And it gets better. That same Fever versus Liberty matchup from last year only pulled 1.86 million viewers, peaking at 2.64 million.
Liberty versus the Fever last year on CBS did 1.86 million viewers year over year. Same matchup, same time slot, same network. We saw an increase of around 400,000 viewers on the average and an increase of around 600,000 viewers on the peak. If I'm the WNBA, that's a win.
So this year's game, that's a 400,000 viewer increase on average and 600,000 more at the peak. A direct result of the Caitlin Clark effect.
Breaking a record overall from ESPN in the first game. Absolutely crazy.
But here's what makes it undeniable. The Liberty versus Aces game, the season opener between two top WNBA teams, only averaged 1.3 million viewers. When Caitlin played days later, an extra million people showed up. That's not a coincidence. That's Caitlin Clark pulling a million eyes wherever she goes.
The Caitlin Clark effect has been a net positive for the WNBA and all of its teams. Clark entered the season as a betting favorite to win the 2025 WNBA MVP. She was the league.
Whether she's in Indiana, New York, or on your TV screen, she's the draw. She's the headline. She is the rating spike, and no other player in the league comes close. She's done it on CBS, ESPN, ABC, even Prime.
Some of Caitlin Clark's games have been on Prime this year. Some of them have been on NBA TV and others have been on CBS and ABC. No matter what, if Caitlin shows up, there's going to be records.
And every single time she suits up, the numbers blow up. So while other players complain that Indiana gets too much airtime, They need to check the scoreboard. The real reason the Fever are on national TV more than anyone else? Because when Caitlin Clark plays, the world watches. Now let's talk about what happens when Caitlin Clark isn't playing. Because the numbers tell a story the WNBA is terrified for you to hear. As soon as Clark's injury was announced,
Caitlin Clark was lost yesterday to an injury for at least 2 weeks.
The entire league felt the shockwave. Games that had been moved to massive arenas in anticipation of Clark's presence suddenly became financial disasters. Take the Fever's road matchup against the Washington Mystics. It was moved to the 14,000-seat CFG Bank Arena in Baltimore, a major upgrade from the Mystics' normal 4,000-seat venue. Why? Because Clark was expected to play and ticket demand was through the roof. But once her injury became public, prices dropped 47% overnight. Tickets that had been selling for $41 were suddenly going for just $22. And even then, they weren't moving. But it gets worse. The highly anticipated Fever versus Chicago Sky game on June 7th, set to take place at the 21,000-seat United Center, turned into a complete embarrassment. Originally, tickets were going for $86, but after Clark's injury, they fell to just $25, a 71% collapse.
The tickets had fell 71%. They've dropped off. I mean, I thought 71% was dropping off a map. The WNBA, these games, they're on national TV and some of these large road buildings. How bad it's going to look on TV with all of these empty seats they've moved to.
That's not just a dip. That's a free fall. And that game was chosen for a massive venue specifically because of Clark's star power. Without her, it's just another WNBA matchup. And the demand evaporated. Even Clark's home team, the Indiana Fever, wasn't immune. The average resale ticket price for their next 5 games, including 2 at home, dropped from $137 to just $80 after her injury was announced.
That Caitlin Clark is injured. Oh, the ticket prices for the Fever and Sky game just plummeted to Hades.
That's a $57 nosedive per seat. And the proof isn't just in numbers. Fans are literally canceling travel plans, like the family who paid $3,000 to see Caitlin play. Flights, hotel, game tickets, only to scrap the whole trip after learning she was out. They gave their tickets away and pushed their plans to August, hoping she'd be healthy again. Why? Because like thousands of others, they weren't coming to see the Fever. They were coming to see Caitlin Clark.
Clark is such an overwhelming draw that ticket prices have fallen more than 300% in less than 2 days.
And the WNBA knows it. That's why, in a panicked move, they suddenly started pushing last-minute tickets still available ads for games Clark wasn't even playing in. But ask yourself, why only those games? They weren't doing this for Phoenix Mercury, Atlanta Dream, or Seattle Storm games. The truth is, those teams have tons of unsold seats too. But the WNBA wasn't advertising last-minute deals for them.
WNBA is panicking because so many people are selling. People are walking away. Oh, snap. People are disappearing.
They only do this when Caitlin Clark is out, because they're scrambling to salvage what little attention is left. It's like a stock market crash. The moment Caitlin is off the court, fans dump their tickets like traders unloading tanking shares. Prices drop. Attendance crumbles. Entire arenas, once sold out, suddenly look like ghost towns. And all of this proves one thing. Caitlin Clark is the economy of the WNBA.
The impact of Caitlin Clark on the WNBA being very close to $1 billion this year. Caitlin Clark's landing some massive television ratings.
Without her, the league flatlines. So the question is, if the WNBA is this reliant on Caitlin Clark to stay afloat, why do they keep letting her take brutal hits, endure biased officiating, and suffer in silence? They're happy to profit off her name, but when it's time to protect her, they vanish. That's not just bad business. That's exploitation in plain sight.
It is a mad situation just all around when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because it's very clear that she is way stronger.
Caitlin has always been an underrated athlete. She's the fastest player in the league to me with the ball in her hands. and she was the best guard finishing around the rim last year. She shot a bunch of it, and it's been the whole preseason where it looks to me like on her deepest shots, she is just getting them off like they're nothing, like they're routine, because nobody else is shooting from this distance regularly, and she's doing it with a flick of the wrist.
Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
She is the main draw. She is the needle mover.
And she was the MVP.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
Now let's talk about the ugly side of all this. The side the WNBA, mainstream media, and certain players hope you never question. Because while Caitlin Clark is out here shattering viewership records and saving a dying league, she's also enduring a silent war. A war that's driven by jealousy, media manipulation, and yes, racial double standards. And the deeper you look, the clearer it becomes. Caitlin Clark is not just being overlooked, she's being targeted. Let's start with Christine Brennan, a long-respected journalist with a history of supporting women's sports. When she dared to question a violent eye gouge delivered to Caitlin Clark by Dejanai Carrington, the backlash was instant and vicious. Brennan was labeled a racist, attacked online, and nearly canceled, not for spreading lies, but for asking legitimate questions. This wasn't just a disagreement, it was a coordinated effort to silence anyone who defends Clark. And what's worse, the WNBA stayed silent. No investigation, no protection, no league-wide support for either Brennan or Clark.
Caitlin Clark is a rising star in women's basketball. She's pulling in crazy viewership numbers. We're talking about a preseason game against the Brazil national team drawing 1.2 million views.
Just silence. Why? Because telling the truth about Caitlin Clark's treatment doesn't fit the league's narrative. And that narrative is simple. Promote everyone except the one player who's actually moving the needle. Why? Because Caitlin Clark doesn't fit the mold they want. She's white. She's from Iowa. She plays a clean, elite game built on fundamentals, not trash talk and controversy. And because of that, she's painted as a villain in a league that should be celebrating her as its biggest asset. Let's get even more serious. According to one of the transcripts, a legitimate threat was made against Caitlin Clark's life. A threat. And what did the league do? Not much. No official security upgrades were announced. No league-wide condemnation. Just business as usual. Imagine if that threat had been against any other WNBA player from a different background. You can bet it would have made national headlines, and there would have been outrage from coast to coast. But Caitlin? The silence was deafening.
Caitlin Clark is becoming the best player, not because she's white, because she's that good. She's having Larry Bird impact. She's been the driving force of the hottest team in the entire league, despite her record turnover.
This isn't just neglect, it's willful hypocrisy. The league constantly complains about inequality, underfunding, and lack of exposure. Yet here's Caitlin Clark, bringing in millions of new fans, selling out arenas, and delivering the highest ratings in 2 decades. And instead of being lifted up, she's mocked, fouled hard, targeted, and left unprotected. The same players who benefit from her presence complain that she gets too much attention. Too much attention? She earned every second of it. In reality, the resentment isn't about airtime, it's about power. Caitlin Clark came into the league with more fans than most franchises. She's outselling veterans. She's outdrawing entire teams. And that kind of impact scares people who were used to controlling the spotlight. So instead of celebrating her success, they try to minimize it, diminish her legacy, turn her into a punching bag, literally and figuratively. Let's talk about the refereeing too. During the recent Liberty game, the one that peaked at 3.24 million viewers, fans witnessed one of the worst officiating performances in WNBA history.
The craziest thing is for the WNBA, a game which peaked at 3.2 million viewers, to have 3.2 million viewers watch the worst refereeing performance of all time. Like, the WNBA should at least get some full-time referees.
Calls were inconsistent. Obvious fouls were ignored. Clark was shoved, bumped, and elbowed without consequence. And in the final moments, a foul was called against her team that had the entire internet outraged. And yet, again, no accountability from the league. Why is the most watched player in the league being officiated like she's disposable? And don't forget the marketing hypocrisy. When Caitlin is playing, the WNBA blasts her image everywhere. tickets, broadcasts, merchandise. But the second she's injured, they pretend like nothing changed. Until, of course, they realize they can't sell tickets anymore. Then suddenly it's last-minute tickets available. Desperate attempts to fill seats using the ghost of Caitlin Clark. It's exploitation, plain and simple. They use her name to sell, but they don't defend her name when it matters.
Caitlin Clark is Indiana Fever's leading scorer at over 19 points a game.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
Why do you like Caitlin?
Yeah, she's so good at basketball.
Caitlin Clark is undeniably the offensive engine.
Because she's that awesome person and she has like a lot of aura, so like...
Cannot deny the impact that she's made on this sport.
And here's the bottom line the WNBA can't deny. Caitlin Clark is the single biggest reason this league still has a pulse. She's the reason TV networks are reconsidering media rights deals. She's the reason kids are watching. She's the reason sponsors are suddenly interested. And she's the reason thousands of families are spending money on flights, hotels, and tickets. She's bigger than just a rookie. She's a cultural movement. But instead of standing behind her, the league's silence, and in some cases, complicity, screams volumes. If Caitlin Clark were treated fairly, protected properly, and promoted honestly, the WNBA could soar to heights it's never seen. But until the league decides to stop letting politics and jealousy cloud its judgment, it will continue biting the hand that feeds it.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from three. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from three-point range.
Caitlin Clark isn't just setting records. She's exposing a system that's willing to cash in on her talent, her name, and her fan base, but not willing to stand up for her when it counts. The truth is clear. When she plays, arenas sell out, TVs turn on, and history is made. When she's gone, the league crumbles.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
Caitlin Clark is Indiana Fever's leading scorer at over 19 points a game. Caitlin Clark is undeniably the offensive engine.
Cannot deny the impact that she's made on this sport.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right, so she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
Ratings drop, tickets plummet, and fans vanish. So the question we all need to ask is this. How long can the WNBA survive pretending it doesn't need Caitlin Clark while relying on her to keep the lights on? If you're tired of the hate, the double standards, and the silence around the only player truly changing the game, make your voice heard right now. Drop CC22 in the comments to stand with Caitlin. Let the world and the league know we see what's happening and we're not staying quiet. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video because the truth deserves an audience. Caitlin Clark already brought the world to the WNBA. It's time the WNBA brings respect to Caitlin Clark.